Hi, it's Sue from Snake River Stamping. Today for you, it is Tuesday, December 16th at 5:30 p.m. For me, it's actually Monday afternoon because at Tuesday at 5:30 I'll be watching my granddaughter play basketball. So I'm gonna pre-record this video for you today so that we can still have our time together, and I certainly appreciate all the thumbs up and the shares and things that you do for me because that really helps my business grow. So thank you very much. I'm going to share some of our things that we have going on real quick. Last chance products, they have filled the list. They filled the list. Mostly they filled the list with all the things that were in the September to December catalog are our last chance right now. So don't forget, it's under your specials tab. So don't forget to take a look at that and see what you might like to find or purchase. Product of the month. We're starting product of the month this month. And for this month, you need, well, for every month, you need a minimum of $75 purchase. And that's before tax, before shipping, before rewards and all that business. And then you can add the product to your cart, and it'll give you a prompt. You're eligible? Would you like to add it to your cart? You know, they'll give you that prompt. And so you can check that if you would like for $5. And this month, it's an entire package of paper called True Blue Florals. Let me show you. And these are 12 by 12 sheets of the True Blue Florals. Okay. But I cut one of my sheets. When I get my paper, I always cut one sheet 4 inches by 12. I just cut it at 4 inches because 4 inches is often a very easy to use, commonly used size that I have. But I wanted to share these beautiful papers with you. I'm reminding myself I'm pre-recording this because, you know, I forget things pretty easily. And the other side, the colors that are in here mostly Night of Navy and why did I forget that already? Balmy blue. Yeah, balmy blue. On the table instead of on the floor, it'll be easier. Okay, so it has a lot of balmy blue. It has some white in it too. This is another one, a larger floral pattern. And then on the back, it has these little geometric patterns with the flowers in the centers. And then this is a pattern with the white florals. And this goes really well with the bundle I'm going to use today. This is a balmy blue background with white floral pattern. I think this would be the right side up. I think that is directional. And then on the back side, it has Night of Navy with a lighter Night of Navy. It's like it's stamped off. I've got 2 more that are sticking together. And this one with a balmy blue and white. And that one's directional. And it's a lighter with balmy blue. And then this is a Night of Navy. And this isn't white, this is just a lighter Night of Navy. Maybe it's balmy blue. I don't know, it's hard to tell. And then that one is definitely directional with the little flower and petals. Okay. So those are examples of the paper that we have for our product of the month that we have going on this month. yeah, this was just an example of the papers that I had. This paper pumpkin is for December. You had to subscribe by December 10th. I hope you did that if you wanted the watercolors in bloom, okay? But not to worry, you can still sign up and get January's paper pumpkin. I don't think I have a sheet yet. They give us, we can download like this to advertise stuff, these product sheets. And just reminding you that the online exclusive product list, a lot of that stuff is going on the last chance list too, okay? Like, I know this one with the pine, the snowy pines is going on that list. My December specials, just a reminder, of course, at $20 you start earning your own Stampin' Rewards, okay? At $40 you get 2 sets of my die cut labels, and those look like this. This is 1 set, so you get 2 sets of these labels. I can't print anything on them. It's up to you to color them, print them, print on, you know, stamp them, whatever. But I'll give you 2 sets of these labels, and this is 1 set. I think there's 19 in one, so you get 38 of those. And you get your Stampin' Rewards, 10%. $50 order, you get 2 sets of the die cut labels again. And you get a Traditions of Christmas PDF featuring 2 designs and your rewards. $75, you get your die cut labels, your PDF, your and these die cut greetings in gold and in white. So you get 2 sets of these. One will be in white, and you can color these just using a brush. And I would advise you not to really put color on your brush. I just leave whatever color I already have in my brush, and I just go over it and color the white label, and then it really makes the word pop out when you do that. Okay, so that's just a really great, easy way to use the white labels. Now you'll also get gold ones, which you don't need to do anything to. They just really pop. You can see those. They're shiny. They're beautiful. And I'll cut those for you. Okay, so you get 1 set of white and 1 set of gold, and you'll get 2 sets of labels. Okay, and that's at the $75 or more. All qualifying orders are before tax and shipping, of course. You guys are used to all of that. Hoorah, right? Okay, so that concludes announcements. So our mini catalog. If you're already one of my customers, I have mailed you, or I'm having Stampin' Up! Mail you a catalog, and you should receive that by January 10th. Okay, I can't show you what's in the catalog yet, but I can show you products that I've purchased out of the catalog. I'm not sure why, but anyway, so you can see I have all my little tabs here on things that I want to get out of the new mini catalog, and this is from January to April. Okay, so that brings us to some stuff we're going to use out of the mini catalog today. We're going to do the friendly foliage. We're going to use some stamps. We're going to use some die cuts out of this set today. And we're going to be making this all occasion card. You can make it whatever you want. I made it a thinking of you card. Okay, maybe you can see that. Okay, we're going to be stamping and cutting out this friendly foliage. We're going to be using a little bit of the paper that came in our True Blue Florals. Okay, I'm using some of that, and then just some cardstock. Okay, so that's what we'll be making today. So I do, in my description, I have all of the measurements. I'll show them at the end, and I'll tell you what they are as we go. So you can write it down. You can look in my description and get it from there. You know, you can take a screenshot of my when I put it on camera at the end. So we're starting out with a card base, a Night of Navy card base. And this is, of course, a standard card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Okay, so that is our standard card base. I'll stick that one over here. Then we're going to cut out of the True Blue Florals, DSP, looks like DSD, can't write, P. And we're going to cut using the textured notes. And I'm going to use, out of these dies, I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use number 3, and I count from the outside in, from the largest one in. I'm going to cut one of these. And this, the measurement I gave you for this paper is a little bit big, but we're going to cut 4, or the paper I cut was 4 inches, because like I said, I cut my paper 4 inches wide, so 4 and about 4 3/4 inches long to cut this out. Okay, and then we're going to need number 4 and number 7, I think, and we're going to cut a label out of that. Okay, we need some basic white for our focal point. We're going to be stamping this beautiful little sprig here on this piece of white on our focal point. And that's 3 inches by 4 inches. I have 2 of them just in case anybody doesn't stamp really well the first time. We have a basic white to cut our sentiment. Okay, and this is number 7, the smallest die, except for that long skinny one at the bottom. I don't really count that one because it doesn't fit with the other dies. It's kind of a separate one. It's long and skinny. So I'm just using these set of dies that fit inside of each other. So that's number 7, the smallest one, and that's for our sentiment. That's 1 inch by 2 3/4 inches. And we're going to have an embossed layer that is 3 14/16 of an inch by 5 1/8 inch. And the reason it's such a weird measure is I'm going to have a piece of crumb cake under it, 4 by 5 1/4, which is more common, a more common size that we use for our layers. And I just wanted this embossed layer to have a very narrow, very narrow, I don't even know if that's a 16th of an inch, maybe it is, border around there to go on our card base. I don't know if you noticed on this one. So I have Night of Navy for my card base, then I have my crumb cake, then I have my embossed, and then I have my flowers, and I also have one piece of Night of Navy that's 2 by 4 3/4 that's going to be laying underneath these other 2 layers. So to put this together, we're going to start with some stamping and some die cutting. I'll put this over here so I can look at it and hopefully make it correctly. So I've already, you know what, before I stamp, I am going to put a couple things together. Oh, and my embossing folder that I used, I used it out of the brushed petals. Why can't I remember names? Brushed in Beauty. Brush and Beauty. This came with that suite, and it's called Beautiful Pattern Embossing Folder, and it makes this little pattern that looks very similar to some of these little geometric patterns that they have on here. Which one had that really geometric? Yeah, like this one had this geometric pattern that's very similar to this pattern. That's not, I mean, you could use any of the patterns on here, but this is the embossing folder that I used. Okay, and you could use any embossing folder. I just liked a little texture behind mine. So I am going to keep track of this die. I'm going to put it right here. I am going to glue a few things together, and then we'll stamp and cut. So I'm just going to run my glue on the edges, a little bit in the center. I don't want a lot of glue, but I want enough that I might have to slip and slide. Ooh, pretty darn good. First time and on camera. Fabulous. So you can see that's just a very, very narrow border. And I'm going to glue that onto my card base. And I'm going to leave a little bit wider border on here, so that blue border will show up. Okay. And I had one more piece of white. There. One more piece of white. I have an inside too. And this is 3 3/4 by 5. That's probably one of my favorite personally sizes for an inside. And I'll just stamp that because I have the stamps ready to go, and we can just put that inside. And this is Night of Navy, and I'm choosing, and this is out of the set we're using that I put over here. This is out of Friendly Foliage. I'm putting Here For You Always on the inside, and I'm putting a couple of these little stamps on the inside. So I'm just going to stamp this up. I should probably, it always stamps a little bit better for me if I use a Stampin' Pierce mat. If you don't have a Stampin' Pierce mat, a magazine sometimes works, okay? But this just has enough give to it, and I have the paper. I can try my stamp out, and these usually do really nice job. And then I have a couple, or I have one of these little, and of course I have ink on my fingers, but I have my baby wipe at the ready. So I want this to be light, so I'm stamping off, and I'm putting my little leaf foliage things to the side, or under, or they look like they're behind Here For You Always. They're not to the side. They're right on top of it, but I put them on top second, but they look like they're underneath when you stamp like that. So I don't want to close that quite yet, but I do want to set it out of the way. And when I put on the inside, I like to use a little Stampin' Seal. because it glues flatter for me. And I mean, I can carefully use the glue, but I'm not always careful with it. So I'm just gonna try to center this. Okay, and so there's our inside, there's our outside, and this Night of Navy, the 2" by 4 3/4 inch, is gonna go right over here, and I can put that down right now. Definitely want to use glue because this is going right on top of an embossed piece. And I kind of want to center this so that it's about the same distance top bottom in this one side. Okay, so now I have this True Blue DSP, and I got out my little embossing machine, but I don't think this is going to go through, so I'm going to have to cut it. This will go through, but this I'm going to have to cut just down a little bit to get it to go through. So let me just quickly make this a little bit smaller so I can use my small cut and emboss. If I go 3.5, okay, 3 1/4. I think 3 1/4 I can do. You can score it, but it won't work. You have to cut it. So now I think I can get this through. So I am going to cut this off to the side just because this makes my table shake like an earthquake. Okay, good. That fits through just fine. And this paper is directional. These little flowery things, you know, with the leaves and stuff, it looks like I want them to go up, not down. So I am going to pay attention to that, and I'm going to try to get that even. And I want it to, I have my base plate, my number 2 plate, and one more number 2 plate. And I'm just going to put this on here so that my flowers are straight. I want my flowers straight on here. And I'm going to put my other number 2 plate. I always lead with one plate or the other. So like I usually put this plate out or further forward when I'm doing this so that it will lead. Maybe this won't shake as bad as my other one. Not too bad. That wasn't like my big one, like really shakes this table. Really, really, really bad. Okay. So this is my background. And using the textured notes dies, you know, you get just a little bit of texture and interest on the edge of your paper. That's really nice. Okay. So now I'll use this again with my other die. Now I'm going to put number 3 back in its spot over here. So just to the side, I'm keeping my dies, trying to keep them in order. Maybe I should put, before I lose this little one, I'm going to put him back on the magnet too. Just, you know, just in case somebody gets crazy or something around here. Okay, this die usually just prints gorgeous. Every time I've printed it, it has done a gorgeous job. I would turn it, the block upside down, and stamp my ink on here real good, and make sure you get all the edges, all the little guys up here. Okay. And I'm gonna, just in case I don't, oh, I wiped off some of that. Trying to clean that off. Put some more back up there. Okay, so I think I'm ready. So I'm gonna cut this out. So I mean, I'm gonna try to put it on straight, but because it'll go through the machine better. Oh, this is why I have two. Oh, yeah, we'll see. That didn't give me quite the coverage. I don't know if you can see it, but some of these didn't get quite covered. So I'm gonna do a little bit different technique this time. I'm going to use this pressure tool because this is a large die, but I do want to get even pressure, which I didn't get that first time. And maybe I did use a pressure tool. I can't remember. I know. That's my middle name. An alarm, of course. So I'm going to set this down really carefully, and I'm going to rub it just to get the pressure even. And hopefully, oh yeah, it came out better. Came out a lot better. Okay. So now the fun part of this set are these dies. They're so cool. And I cut my paper so that both of these will fit in one of these, the tall folders that you get when you order a bundle. And I write the number on there because I had to cut it off the bottom so that I can remember the number. And I put my dies and my stamps in the same folder because for me, less is more as far as keeping track of stuff. Okay. Now I'm going to run this through twice because I'm going to run it through once to do the outline die, and then I'm going to run it through a second time because they have this other die that cuts out the middle. Like if you noticed on this one, I cut out the middle. You know, you thought I was so talented. Well, I have a die for that. And it looks really cool having that background paper show through it. So I really like that effect. Oh, and I wanted to tell you, I cased this card from Karen Hallam. I changed it a little bit. I changed the paper and some other things, but this was basically her design. And I want to make sure Karen gets credit for her wonderful design. One of the things I am not very good at is design, and so I'm almost always casing cards and watching videos and doing all the things that I do to figure out what I should do on my card classes. And if you live locally to me, I have been looking for a place to hold my card classes, and I think I have a lead on a couple places. So I'm going to start doing some more live in-person card classes. I'll make sure this is exactly where I want it to be. And I'm going to pull it up a little bit. And I'm going to lay this top one a little bit forward. And yeah, I think that's right. Looks pretty good. Crank it through. Oh, it's shaking the table a little bit. Okay. I think I'll start, maybe I'll use the sticky note for the second one instead of that. So, we used the outside die. Now we're going to use the inside die to cut the rest of this out. This is what really makes it look extra beautiful, in my opinion. Here's some sticky notes. Sometimes these work better for me. So I'm gonna put this over here and lay it down and put my, you can probably see I'm putting my die, I'm centering it just so it fits just so over the parts that I don't, you know, I want to cut around. Okay, so I want to figure that out and place it just so. And place this just so. And then place this. And then we're going to have much loveliness, I hope. Ta-da! All the little pieces are in here. I'll take those out later. But now I have this beautiful piece that goes right on here. So I'm just going to dot some glue very sparingly. I am going to get all my edges down, but I'm very skinny bead of glue there. And then I'm just going to put some glue, dot, 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 there, like that. Just some little dots of glue. And I need one of these, silicone mat. I'm going to let that dry for just a minute. I want it to get tacky. And we are going to cut and stamp on our outside label. And we're going to do Thinking of You. And we're going to do that in Crumb Cake to bring in the crumb cake that's on the border. Okay. So I'm going to stamp this, and then we'll cut. I even cleaned this block with alcohol this morning. Okay. And I still couldn't get all the smuts off of it. Okay, I'm going to try to center this. thinking of you. And now I'm going to go back because I put that die back so I could find it. And I'm going to put that on here. And one more time. Oops, get this out of the way. One more time with the die cutting machine to make my little be straight, so I'm going to use a smaller note this time, a smaller sticky. Looks pretty straight. There we go. That on, put my top on. I always have a top plate and a bottom plate, a cutting plate, because the bottom plate always gets scarred up more. And eventually, once it's really scarred up, I turn the top plate, the old top plate, into the bottom plate and get a brand new top plate, which I just did. That's why this one looks so good. Great. Thinking of you. Perfect. 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 Okay. Back on the magnet. All right. So now it's ready to go. And now this has had a chance to get a little bit tacky, which is what I wanted. And this works better for me with tweezers. So I do want to center this. Oops, I need to top down a little bit more. And I'm just going to press those gently in. Because see, I didn't want any glue to squish out. And that did a great job. Okay. And I'm going to put dimensionals on the back. See, I felt like this side was a little too dark for my image, my focal point. But there are there's some really light ones. And I just felt like the one I used was kind of in between. So I just have that on there, and then I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna center it. Got it on dimensionals. Get that up. I want it to go over a little bit more. There we go. I want it to go over just a little bit more. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay. Because of my thinking of you. Because I'm going to run the thinking of you off the edge a little bit. So I'm going to glue on the right underneath, and I'm going to put a dimensional on the left. Okay, so I'm just going to flip this over right and left. One dimensional on the left. And then a little glue, because this is already raised up. And then a little glue on the right. And it always works better if you take the paper off the dimensional. So I'm going to put that over here and that over there. Okay. So it's all flat. So it's glued on this side, but it has a dimensional under here. So it's the same height as the background right there. Okay. And then I have a little bow of sorts. I'm terrible at tying bows, especially with baker's twine, but this was my option for something that matched. Get some of this. Where's my take and pick tool? Around here somewhere. I'm going to get a little dot here, glue dot. And I'm going to put that down over here in the corner. My glue dot. And put my bow. Try to push that down. So I probably should have put it lower, but man, glue dots. And I'm going to trim off these little things a little bit more. Okay. Now my fingers are glue dotty. Great. Okay. Ta-da! There is our beautiful True Blue Florals, and using our friendly foliage stamp set, which I'm going to be using more because I've got a lot of cards that I like using that. But I just thought that turned out really, really cute. I hope you like it. And I will link all the products that I used today in my description. Let me move this up. There we go. Magic. She pressed the right button. So I'll link all the products that I used today. And if you're watching me on YouTube, they'll be below me. If you're watching me on Facebook, they'll be above me. And the measurements will also be there. Oh, I was going to show you the measurements, just in case you didn't get them the first time around. Turn the camera back down. You can take a screenshot if you would like. And there are the measurements. So Night of Navy card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And this strip right here, the blue strip, Night of Navy blue strip, was 2 inches wide by 4 3/4 inches long. Basic white, the embossed layer, was 3 14/16 by 5 1/8. And you could change that if you don't like 16ths and 8ths. You could change it and just have a little bit bigger crumb cake. I mean, it doesn't matter. And the sentiment strip was 1 inch by 2 3/4. The focal point to stamp this was 3 by 4, and my inside was 3 3/4 by 5. The crumb cake layer, the first layer that's just barely showing, is 4 by 5 1/4, and it goes under your embossed layer. And your designer series paper, the True Blue Florals, was 4 by 4 3/4. But remember, I did chop it off to get it through my little embossing machine. And that's I just have 4 because that's usually the size I have sitting around. And I cut it out with textured notes die number 3. And I cut out that sentiment stamp. Where is that? Sentiment stamp, there it is. With textured notes die number 7. It was covered up. Number 7. So those are the measurements for today. And like I said, I also included them in the description. Sometimes I just have to be careful. Um, I think it's YouTube. I can't remember now. I think it's YouTube. They put a limit on how many characters you can have in your description, you know, typed letters and stuff. And if I have too much, like on the materials side, you know, what you need to make the project, it really limits me on what I can write on the rest of it. I have to, because I have to keep it under 5,000 characters. And a letter or a number is a character. So, but I had room, so I went ahead and included that. Thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate it. Next week, I'm going to take a Christmas stamp. I think this is what I'm going to do, and show you how to use it for other things by using different colors, not Christmas colors. And I don't think there's a game next. That's the 23rd. Yeah, today's the 16th. No, yeah, the 23rd. I don't believe there's a game, home game that day. So I think I will be live next week. Okay. All right. Thanks for joining me today, and we will see you around. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.